I told you.
I know. Hey, good Monday morning, everyone. If you are in Texas, it is steamy, but hopefully it simmers down. Anyways, hopefully it simmers down. I have to laugh at myself, you guys. Anyways, you guys are listening to Author Talk, and you guys know me, Amy, here with Fern, Russell, and our lovely guest today is Ray. So, you guys, hey, how are you guys doing?
Hey, everybody.
Hanging in there. How about you?
Where are you, Ray?
I'm in Seattle.
Okay, that's
So
awesome.
this
It's
is
not as
super,
hot there.
it's super early for you too, isn't it? It's like
This is my bedtime, actually, so this is a little weird for me.
Oh, man. No, I
Say,
couldn't do
you aren't a hardcore outdoorsman that has hiked up the volcano, are you?
Not even close. Not even remotely.
Oh.
That's a shame. I would have loved to hear stories about that. I was scheduled to go up there and do that.
Yeah, I mean,
A
I've
couple of
hiked
years
around
ago.
here because my ex-husband is a very big outdoorsman, but I don't love it. I don't want to be outside. I want to be inside with my hot water. I want to have my computer and my billion other gadgets. It's hard for me to be without technology for too long.
How about the outdoor sculpture garden? Do you
Oh,
have
the Chihuly?
picnics there? Yes.
Um, that's something that's not really a Seattle local thing. That's more of a tourist thing.
Really? Because
Um,
there's very few sculpture garden museums like that in the whole world. It's like a big deal.
yeah, yeah, it's gorgeous. But usually when you grow up here, you've been to it about 10,000 times by the
Yeah.
time you're 18. So, I didn't grow up here, but I did see it as a teenager, and once you've seen it once or twice, it's just like, okay, it's cool. But the thing about it here is that Chihuly is such a big deal that you actually see his stuff everywhere. Like they have them in the airport. You can see them all around the place. It's not just the one sculpture garden. So, it's,
Oh.
sometimes you don't want to pay $50 to look at glass for, 5 minutes.
this is true. That's a good point.
Mhm.
That is very true. Yeah. So what did
I
you
mean,
guys do this weekend? I know it was Father's Day weekend. Russell, what did you do?
Uh, my kids and wife have always laughed at me because the only thing I've always wanted for Father's Day for 30, well, however long, 35 years, I guess my oldest kid's 35, is I wanted to be left alone all day. So that's
And
what they
did they
did.
leave you alone all day?
They leave me alone all day. That's the
Oh,
only thing I ever
sounds
wanted.
perfect.
well, they
Yeah,
know you. That's good.
right.
Hey, that's good. Josh wanted what did I do yesterday? What did I not do? Josh wanted all of the laundry done, like clean and folded and put away. And you guys, I can wash it all day. That's easy, but folding is
I
such a
think that Josh was abusing his Father's Day
he
privilege, is
was
what
because
I
I did
think.
that. I watched the kids because he was out in the yard doing all the stuff he doesn't get to normally do, fertilizing it, giving the roses like fertilizer, trimming my trees. I was like, you just wanted to be away from the kids and have me do laundry and fold it. Like I can't. I just good guys. I don't know
He
why.
was abusing the privilege.
I just hate laundry. If we could just live out of baskets and I don't have to fold it, I could wash all day. But folding it just sucks. I mean, maybe it's just me. I just hate it.
I love folding laundry. I'll put on just like my latest sports game, whatever it is, and I will just fold for an hour if I have to. I find it so soothing. So,
Oh, you can come down here.
Actually,
I'll
I
pay you
get
to
that.
do all my
I can't
laundry.
do it, but I get it. I totally get that.
yeah, my thing's dishes. I do not want to touch the dishes. Like don't show me a full sink full of dishes that I nope. Nope.
Isn't
Well,
that
that's
isn't
not
that why
clean.
you
That's
have
what a
dishwasher?
dishwasher's for.
That's right. That's exactly right. I'm like, that's why God invented dishwashers.
Right.
Problem is
Don't
when you're using
put
high-end
stuff in the
cookware and stuff
sink.
like that, you can't put it in the dishwasher, otherwise you're gonna be really sad in about half an hour.
Yeah, I could do dishes. I could put music on or like a TV show and tilt my TV. I could do dishes all day. It's just I don't know. I just hate. I loathe folding. Like it's not hate. I loathe it. Like I just no. I hate it.
You know what happens to me when I do laundry is the last load, right? Because
Mhm.
I got a rhythm going of putting them in, taking them out, all this. The last load I always forget, and
Oh no.
it stays in there for I don't even know how long, and then
And
I'll
it
remember.
mildews.
And then it's
Ugh.
I have to redo it. I have to redo the last. I always have to redo the last load because then it's all wrinkled too. So it's like, oh Lord. But
Man, no, I just, man, now I feel so bad. I feel like I should be better at laundry. I feel like it's like,
I
you
think
know,
you should be better.
I should be
agree.
better. God, I know. Whatever. Fern, what did you guys do for your dad, or what did your dad do for his day?
my dad, we sort of just hung out and we had a meal, and we did. We just watched like the videos from my brother and his wife had gone on down to Cabo
Mm-hmm.
for a week. They brought back like really cool pictures and video, and we just kind of sat and watched it together. And yeah, I mean, it was really kind of not very eventful, but I mean, it was just chill.
Yeah, laid back.
Yeah.
Nice. I love it. Ray, what about you? Did you guys do anything?
I got 2 books for my dad because we're both enormous nerds and I know exactly what kind of books he likes. You know, he's the one who got me started reading everything. So I sent him a couple of books. We talked for a bit. We did Hot Pot with my ex's dad because I will never say no to Hot Pot.
rocks. I love
Hot Pot is amazing. And then, you know, the rest of the weekend was just me watching sports and working because that's what I do. That's
Nice.
basically why I exist. Watch sports, work.
You're
Nice.
so exciting,
Oh.
Ray.
What's your
You're so
favorite
exciting.
sport?
It depends on the time of year. I mean, men's volleyball is always going to be top of the pack, closely followed by football and esports. Those are my 3 big ones. I'll watch a lot of different kinds of sports, but those are the ones where I know all the players, I know all the stats. I'll sit there and be breaking it down and analyzing it. And, you know, it's just fun. I love doing that.
Nice.
The only sport I ever watch is like World Cup soccer. Like every 4 years, I'm like glued to the television set watching. I watch every single game. I keep track of who's winning, who could win, you know. And then after that I'm done. Cuz I don't follow soccer, you know, in between or anything. That's the only time that you'll see me like go crazy. If you meet me on a World Cup soccer year, you'll think, "Oh my god, Fern is like a crazy sports fan," but not really.
You see, I think my Argentinian ancestors are rolling in their graves that I'm more into volleyball than I am into soccer. But guys, you know, Argentina has a great volleyball team. I'll just say that. It's the 2nd most popular sport in Argentina. So, you know what? If I can't go football, then I am going to go with my volleyball loves.
Nice. That's interesting. I mean, I like watching volleyball and stuff, you know, during the Olympics and everything, but I've never heard someone that they're just like volleyball, you know, is like number 1. So that's refreshing. That's pretty awesome. I mean, I find it awesome. But yeah, Fern, I'm going to kick it to you, and we are going to discuss Ray and everything that she does to help authors.
Oh no.
Everything.
So Ray Loverde, which is actually pronounced Loverde.
Loverde, yeah.
Mm-hmm. She works with Donald Moss Literary Agency, and she does assistance to the agents there. And so, Ray, what does your job entail? Like, what does that mean that you're assistant to these awesome agents?
Basically, I am the first line of a lot of things. I hate the term gatekeeper. I think it sounds really snobby, but alas, if there's a ton of things coming through, somebody's got to be the one opening and closing the gate. It's just unfortunate reality of it. So what I will do is I will go through and just read through queries, mark which ones I think are maybes. Here's something, you know, you can look at later, make a final determination. Here's ones that I think are brilliant. You have got to read this right away. And then, unfortunately, a lot of it is sending out rejections, which is hard. I mean, some of them are easier than others when it's like, okay, we don't even represent this, I don't think this would be a good fit. But some of them, it's like, you are so close. You are this close. It's not quite there yet, but I really hope you query us with your next book.
Oh.
And then sometimes I will read partials or fulls. If an agent has been staring at their client's manuscript for too long and just needs a fresh set of eyes on it, I'll do something like that. Oh gosh, I think I once spent 13 hours straight on this wonderful queer space opera that I just read through the whole thing. I think it was like 150,000 words or something like that, and just made notes the entire way down. And to this day, I still absolutely adore that book. I can't say anything else about it, but oh my gosh. So there are ones that just stick with you. There's also the one that made me so scared. It was a sci-fi horror that I stayed up for 3 days afterward. I couldn't sleep at night at all because it was that scary. But it was great, and it went on to get published, and it's pretty cool.
That is so cool. So you're kind of the one that basically begins to sort the submissions. You're kind of like the first eyes on it.
I am indeed.
So I know you have some horror stories of people submitting, because that just goes with the territory. What are some of the things that authors really need to keep in mind not to do?
My gosh, I have an entire. I do Twitter advice threads sometimes. I have 2 entire threads of please do not do this. So I have a fair number of them, but let's see.
We need to put your Twitter threads on the comments so people can go and check out the advice. Because yes.
Oh goodness. Just probably the biggest one that people don't realize is that if you follow sub guidelines, you're ahead of 90 to 95% of people who come with a query. It's gotten a little easier now that we've moved over to Query Manager and we're not just taking email submissions, because it makes you fill out the forms. It says, okay, what's your word count? What's your genre? What's your category? Paste this here, paste this here. It's very nice to have a form. But back when we were doing emails, they were just all over the place. I was just like, guys, we literally have a page on our website that says, here is what we want. Here is how to format it. Please send us this. Mm-hmm. And so, following the sub guidelines and sending us stuff that we actually represent, that, that's nice. I can't tell you how many things I get for like screenplays and stuff like that. We don't rep screenplays or poetry or children's, or not children's, picture books is more accurate. And I will get queries for those. And it's just like, guys, you just, you just wasted a shot at this. Find people who do this. Yeah. One of the things is definitely, this is a little bit more rare, especially now that we've moved over, but don't email back. I did this the first time I queried. I hate myself that I did this the first time I queried way back, like almost a decade ago. And it was, if this is an invitation to a conversation. Obviously, if they reject me, they just don't understand. Oh, I know. Like, not to queries, but to fulls and stuff like that. I remember one agent emailed back and said, I didn't like how early on it was apparent that this was going to happen. And I emailed back and I said, well, that's really strange because that doesn't happen. That's not what happens in the book. And I know. I was a college student. I had no idea what I was doing.
That is that you would tell that story about yourself is the funniest story. That's awesome.
Oh, I have an entire thread. Like I said, one of my threads is, here's what I did. Don't be me. I have a whole thing about terrible stories that I did myself. Another one was that I did not know the market or any kind of genres. And so I put down, I think, like 3 or 4 genres. Don't do that, guys. Like 2 is fine. Yeah. If it's like an adult fantasy romance, that's great. Cool. There's a category. There's 2 genres. That's good. But when it's a YA, space opera, sci-fi, contemporary romance. I'm just like, guys, you okay?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's really to a really great point and we've noticed this with the Houston Writers Guild too, is that a lot of authors aren't sure really what is their genre, you know. And so this I can see a lot of people just not knowing really how to categorize their genre, which we see also when we're selling the books, right? You know, somebody walks by your table, says that they love mysteries, and you're like, this is a total mystery, and it's not. So now they go off and they read it, and it's not a mystery, and they're upset, and then you wonder why you get bad reviews. You know, so yeah, totally understanding the genres is a huge part. And so, what are some of the genres that you are most interested in?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I will always be sci-fi fantasy girl at heart. Like, that's what I grew up reading. That's what I grew up writing. My very, very first novel was a really badly disguised Star Wars fanfic. Like, it had a lot of the same stuff. There wasn't the Force or lightsabers, but other than that, it was like totally Star Wars universe. I was 13. I was so proud of myself. I was just like, this is so awesome. This is so original. Yeah, I know. But that's always what I'm going to gravitate toward is sci-fi fantasy.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I can feel that because like I'm a big Star Wars nerd. So yes, having to differentiate yourself from the things that influence you as a writer.
Yes.
You know, yeah.
Very much so. Like, I actually said after I graduated from high school and I'd written, I think 2 or 3 very, very poorly disguised Star Wars fanfics, as I said, I can never write a space opera or a sci-fi because it will just end up being too much like Star Wars. And, you know, now several years later that I don't want to think about because then I feel old, I am actually writing a space opera for my agent right now. It took me this long to get over that. I'm in my 30s now. It took me that long to get over the, I won't be able to do this because I'm...
Well, you'll have to wait till your agent reads it before you know if you're really over it or not, right?
Oh, trust me, I'm over it. Trust me.
So besides the horror stories, right?
Oh, God.
Of like the people submitting and making errors, which a lot of times is just
little errors don't bother me. There are actual horror stories. There are ones who reply to rejections with "Dear complete waste of time."
Oh Lord,
I did get that. There are people who will write up nasty blog posts about their rejections. Like, it starts out very innocent. They want to keep themselves accountable. They want to chronicle their journey. I mean, we all do this. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. We want to give updates and stuff. The thing is, if you're keeping track of every single agent who rejects you and you're writing a big blog post about it, not only can everybody see that and they can see how many people you've queried, but we all know each other. If you're complaining about our friends and talking about how terrible we are for rejecting you, like, and that's low grade horror story right there.
Oh my gosh, that's what I was gonna say, and I was like, you know, social media is so great because you can vent, but then everybody sees it, and then it's like you can't take it back because you can't really delete anything, right? You can. It's no longer on your feed, but people have already seen it. They already know it's there. You can't really delete anything. But it was just, I'm over here thinking, I'm like, wow, those people like seriously I don't know. I would not have the courage to do that. Like, I would blame myself for getting rejected. That's just the kind of person that I am. But I wouldn't go like out there and be like, oh yeah, and just like totally slam them. Like, it's not their fault that they rejected you. It just wasn't what they were looking for. You didn't fit the whole thing, or you didn't submit it right, you know? So you really can't blame the other people. And the fact that, I don't know, I say this all the time, like not just with, you know, authors doing it or, you know, businesses and bad reviews and stuff. Like, this is a whole thing, right? A bunch of people do it. And I'm just like, man, I don't have the courage to do that. You know, like I don't know. I recluse into my shell. I'm like, okay, it's just my fault. Okay. You know,
I mean, like I said, most of the time it starts out innocently. They just want to keep themselves accountable. And they want to feel like by sharing their rejections and by chronicling them, they can help somebody else or that they can, commiserate with somebody. Misery loves company, especially in the slush pile. But, it just, querying can make you a little crazy. I've done it multiple times, I know. And so when that turns to frustration, and you just are like, okay, I've been rejected so many times that it just must be that there is something wrong, that somebody's not understanding me, then it starts to twist a little. There are some people who think that from the beginning, but usually it's a steady process. Very sad one, but it does happen.
Yeah, and I think that also the lack of understanding how the market really works. I mean,
that is the truth.
People I think authors have this idea that their book is like the book that's going to be super stellar.
Mm-hmm. Guilty. I was that person.
Yeah, me too. I mean, you think, oh, I'm going to put it on I'm going to publish it and it's going to be super stellar and I'm just going to be the next J.K. Rowlings or, the next, George R. R. Martin.
Yeah, exactly. Next Tolkien. Yeah, I think part of that is actually down to how publishing is portrayed in media. I had no idea how publishing worked until my ex took Brandon Sanderson's class in college. And he did an entire series on this is how things actually work. And, my ex-husband's coming home and showing me all of his notes from class. And I'm just like, this is not the way it looked like on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So now one of the things I do when I hate myself is I go and watch a movie that's set in the publishing world or that has something to do with publishing, and I'll just get a big thing of chocolate milk and just tweet out everything that's wrong with it as I go. Here are all the things that it gets wrong about publishing and do a chocolate milk drinking game with them.
Yes. And that is a problem. I think that's a problem for all professions because you see that with lawyer movies and
yes.
I mean,
my dad's a lawyer and he always just busts up laughing at them.
Yeah, I mean,
my wife and I can't watch our crime porn together because whenever one of those crime shows are on, I'm always yelling, "That's illegal. That's unconstitutional. That's not the way." She's like, "It's a TV show. Go away."
Rafa, I would love to watch one of those with you because I do that. I mean, I don't do the whole illegal thing, but like if I can pinpoint what's going to happen, I yell it out like at the beginning, and Josh is like, "Shut up! I want to watch the movie." I'm like, "But you can tell what's happening. Like, come on, watch. I bet I'm right." Yeah, he hates it. So, Russell, me and you need to watch shows together because I feel like we would have a lot of fun.
Oh, gosh.
Can I ask a question? I'm dying to ask. How
Sure.
did you go from the teenager writing Star Wars books and sending those in to working for an agent? What is the great story behind that?
That's a great
story. That's actually funny. Well, I didn't actually query any of my Star Wars books, thank heaven. Oh gosh, I'm now just, you're giving me anxiety about what I didn't do, even more than what I did now. What happened was when I was in college and I was just starting to query, this was probably 2 months into me starting to query for the first time. I think it was my junior year of college. I had heard that if you wanted to kind of understand how publishing worked, you needed to get on Twitter. Worst decision I ever made. Not really. Just it sucks you in. I didn't realize that, everybody lives on Twitter if you're in publishing. But I got on there, I started talking to people, I started following just everybody I could. I just wanted to learn as much as I could, as quickly as I could, because I felt like I was playing catch up. Because I'd always been told, oh, if you're not one of those super prodigy children who gets a book deal at like 17 or 18, your marketability goes down the older you get. So I felt like I was already behind. I was in my early 20s. And by the way, for anybody that's watching, that is a lie. It's okay. It's okay. I know people who got their first book deals in their 40s and 50s. It's all good. but I was just following people trying to catch up on stuff, and I saw that a woman named Brenda Drake was looking for a street team for her books. Now, I had no idea what a street team was, but I figured, okay, she's got a lot of followers. She seems like she knows what's going on. Maybe I should just email her and see what's up. Turns out that's the day that the Wi-Fi went out in my apartment.
Ooh.
So I don't get to send the email till way later in the evening. And by then, her street team has already been full for a couple of hours. And I'm just like, crap, I missed my shot. Stupid Wi-Fi. But then she says, actually, I run a contest called, wait for it, Pitch Wars. And, you know, it's getting to be a little bit big. And I've been thinking about taking on an assistant. What do you think? And I said, sure, whatever. And through working with her for Pitch Wars, I worked with her for a year and a half, I want to say. I got to meet all of these different agents, and I got to do interviews with them, and I got to kind of see what went on behind the scenes. And I was reading a ton of queries then too, because I was the one, before we got all fancy with the inboxes sorting themselves, I was the one who was, you know, sorting out queries to the various mentors. And so, you know, here I was, you know, 2 months ago, I didn't even know how to write a query, and now I'm reading 100 of them a day. And just after doing that for a year and a half, I knew pretty much every agent in sci-fi fantasy that, you know, that I wanted to know. I knew a ton of them in contemporary. I just had all of these random connections that I never would have found otherwise. And I think it was about a year and a half after that, I took a break from, you know, working in publishing for a little while, just to finish school and stuff like that. I saw that there was a scholarship or a grant available from We Need Diverse Books. And it was for people who wanted to work in publishing, but maybe didn't have the money to do it on their own. And then at the same time, I saw that one of the agents that I had, you know, kind of gotten to know, Amy Boggs, actually, she's not with DMLA anymore. She now works in editorial, but she's brilliant. She's wonderful. I saw that she was posting a thing that said, hey, by the way, we're looking for an intern and it can be remote. And I was just like, you know what? We're moving to grad school soon. I don't know where we're going to be a couple years after that. Why not? So I applied on a whim 2 days before it, 2 days before the deadline, and I got it. And they said, you know, one of the things was that I'd been around and I'd seen a lot of things and I'd read a bunch of queries already. So I already kind of had one foot in the door. So my Wi-Fi being out one day in college is why I've now been at DMLA for 5 years.
I love that story, because that just goes to show that, you know, even when you think you've missed something, you never know what actually will come from it, you know?
Yeah, especially because I didn't start working with the agency itself until 3 years later. I had no idea it was going to lead to that.
How do you like working at in an agency? Like, do you find it is fun? And you know, what's your take on it?
I mean, you definitely, it's definitely eye-opening for one thing. Like, when I was querying, I had this very different idea of what things on the other side were like. And so for me, seeing what it was like on the other side, I was like, oh, I suddenly understand so much more about just, you know, what agents are looking for, why what I did when I was first starting out was horrible, you know, and it's really cool that you get to see these projects 1, 2, sometimes 3 years before they hit the shelves. But at the same time, it's like, well, I want to scream to everybody about this book, but they can't hold it in their hands for another 18 months. So great. Yeah, it can be a little overwhelming at times when you look at a query inbox and you've done so many rejections in a row that you're like, maybe it's me. Maybe I just don't know what's good anymore. Maybe I'm just too picky. But then you find that one that just grabs you right away and you're like, oh, okay, I'm me again. I can do this. I got it. So that's what it really taught me, was actually the role that both luck and just the X factor plays in getting an agent. I always assumed that if you had what they were looking for, MSWL wise, manuscript wishlist wise, that it made sense that they would represent you, but it just has to click. And I didn't understand that until I was reading through just dozens of submissions and having that one just grab me so much that, 4 or 5 years later, I still remember it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is a huge part of it. And I was, on your office query system, and it's very interesting that you guys do just like the first 5 pages.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's
the thing is, my old agent's husband put it this way. It's kind of like when you hear somebody play the piano, if they're good or not after the first 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So for most people who are going to be querying us, I know if I'm interested in under a page. Now I'll read further, especially if I'm just kind of undecided, but I know if it is bad. We'll put it that way. I know if it is bad or not right for us within a page.
Yeah.
And obviously if I say, okay, I'm kind of iffy on this, but it sounds like it could be interesting, that's when we request more and stuff like that. But for the most part, we don't need more than 5 pages to know if we're interested.
Yeah.
And that's hard. That was really hard for me to understand as a baby writer. It's just like, no, I don't write just good first 5 pages. I write good books. What's wrong with you? But it's really that simple.
And it's very true, because 5 pages in, as a reader, even, if you're going to really get into the book or not. I mean, you have to.
And if you're on the shelf, you get less than that.
Yeah.
You get page, maybe 2. Sometimes you only get, the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you have to hook somebody in a bookstore. So
yeah,
it's unfortunately very good practice for that.
Yes. Yeah.
Man. Well, you guys, my time Nazi is telling me that it's time in my private little chat over there. So I really hate that. But you are in luck, because if you want to know more about what an agent is looking for, the best way to send your query letter, follow their guidelines and things like that. Ray is also going to be on Through the Eyes of Authors tonight at 7 Central, 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. You guys, that time zones are throwing me off, okay? I'm just saying. But she will be on tonight to answer your questions. She also, will be talking about different things, if finding an agent is a good fit for you and some other kind of things. But bring your questions. I know this is a hot topic for the members of Through the Eyes of Authors, so write down your questions so we can get them answered for you. But until tonight, Ray, thank you so much for joining us on Author Talk. It has been a fabulous time getting to know you and to talk to you, and I look forward to talking to you more in the future. So thanks so much for taking time out of our day. I know it is early for you, and I'm not an early bird, so thank you. And I definitely understand that a whole lot. But closing statements. Russell, Fern, who wants to go first?
Go, Fern. Say her name again. I love the way you pronounce her last name.
Elegant. Nice.
Lo verde, Ray, lo verde.
It's beautiful. Yes. Ray, you have a wonderful story. Thank you for sharing it with us. It was wonderful.
Of course.
Yes. Fern.
Well, hey, it's the start of another awesome week. And I am very excited to have Ray with us today. Thank you so much for hanging out. And what can I say? I have so much on my plate this week. It's not even funny. That's what happens when you take a week off to do something else. And then it's like brain overload.
I know that feel. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me. I know you guys have, like Fern said, a lot on your plate lately. So this was fun.
Anytime. You are more than welcome to come on anytime. Just reach out and we will make time for you to come on. But thank you so much for joining us. And you guys, this has been an Author Talk, and we will.
You know what? You need to come on and talk about your books. I mean, because you're only like an agent, but I think we need to talk about your books and, just knowing of you as a writer. Oh, gosh. The other half.
Oh, yeah. You want to hear that sad odyssey? You definitely. It's a good one. I mean, it was really cringe, and then it turns out okay.
No. Russell, why don't you close this out talking about our YouTube channel?
Yes, YouTube channel.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you for thinking about that, Amy. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please do so, and leave a comment and a like, because it changes the algorithm and enables us to be present in front of more people that might be interested in this type of subject. So we appreciate your help.
Yes, so go on over there and do that. But until next time, you guys, we'll either catch you tonight on Through the Eyes of Authors, and we'll see you all back here Monday morning at 10 a.m. Have a good week, everyone.